All right, hello everybody. It's me. All right, and we're gonna be watching a video about this guy by Russ Vandy 2. I've watched him a little bit. His Nintendo Switch content. His Nintendo proved everybody wrong, and I have a Switch 2, and I think he's gonna be talking about that. So I don't know. I'll give my input on what my experience with it with the Switch 2, and yeah, we'll just go from there. Make sure this is quality here. Alright, best it can be.
The Switch 2 is selling more than I think anyone ever expected it to. In fact, it's even outselling what Nintendo predicted themselves. So in this video, I'm going to talk about it. We're going to talk about launch numbers, what it all means, games, and all that fun stuff. We know you love it. So Nintendo just had a quarterly meeting with investors. This is what they do quarterly. We always get some sort of idea of how the Nintendo Switch is doing, the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, both on how they're doing, how sales are going, any game sales, all the units that are being sold everywhere, and they just give us more detail on all of that stuff. So we have exact numbers that they can give investors so that these investors can know what they're investing into. That's essentially what this is, and that's how we know it. And this is all public information. They want people to be investing into the company. So this is who it's for, and based on that, we can kind of tell how the Switch 2 is doing by itself. We can kind of just see everything Nintendo is cooking, and inside of these quarterly meetings, Nintendo also gives us kind of like the future of what the Switch 2 is going to bring and how they're going to continue to sell to consumers and all that stuff. So I wanted to just talk about the fact that the Switch 2 has...
I wonder how the Switch 2 is going to sell more anyway, because like people have been hating on it. There hasn't been enough, like, I don't know how to say it, but just like instead of like bringing the Switch 2 down, you gotta bring it up, because like I feel like when people are just keep bashing it, Mario Kart World sucks, all this other stuff sucks, you gotta like bring it up. I don't know.
Officially sold over 10 million units. That is insane. That is so good. In the first 4 months too. Yeah, Nintendo confirmed it. That's faster than the original Switch, faster than the PS4. Like, this is by far the best selling console that has ever come to the market, ever.
Wait,
in fact,
so what is this number here? Because this says 154.1 million units. Is that like currently, like, how much? Okay, so this is like how much the Switch 2 has currently. This is how much the Switch 1 has currently. So like it's only been 4 months, and we're already at 10 out of 154 million. That's pretty insane. Like, if you think about that in the grand scheme of things, like the Switch came out in 2017. That is 8 years ago. This is the first 4 months. Imagine how well this is going to keep going. I mean, maybe this is just a hurrah, and it's gonna it's gonna kind of slow down in the next couple months, but we'll see what he says about this.
It's selling more than Nintendo ever expected, because they changed their goal. They thought that by the end of the year they'd sell like 4 million units, and now they're forecasting 19 million units. Or sorry, not by the end of the year, but by the end of the fiscal year, which would be June or something like that, around that. So let's break down these sales and get started. So on September 30th, they announced that yes, they sold officially 10.36 million units worldwide. And in the first quarter alone, it was 5 million units. So let's keep in mind that this console released in June, on June 5th, 2025, and that's only 4 months of data. Only 4 months. And this guy sells over 5 million units. That's insane. And kind of like I said, Nintendo originally predicted 15 million units for the fiscal year, and now they raised it to 19 million. And they didn't just give us the details of the console, but they also told us about games. So along with the console units, they just tell us how many games were sold out of all those. And drumroll please, that's right, over 20 million games were sold for the console, both digital and physical. And 8.1 million were bundled alongside the hardware, which means that most people, about 80% of people, bought the Nintendo Switch to bundle with Mario Kart, or now even...
Hold on a second. So this was with the regular Switch, and now this is with Switch 2. Already 9.57 million. Like this is like you always hear them getting hated on the internet, so it's just kind of hard to believe that this is actually like real. Like that this is like I don't
Pokemon.
know.
I guess not even. No, this would just be Mario Kart because Pokemon wasn't out by September 30th when this was made. And based on the amount of games sold, that's an attach rate of almost 2 games per console already, which is not bad for a new system. I definitely inflated those numbers quite a bit. I have so many Switch 2 games, it's not even funny. But bundling games clearly worked, and it's part of why these numbers look so big this early on, I think. And just so that everybody remembers, the Wii U alone sold 13 million units, which means that in the span of almost 4 months, the Switch 2
That's
has
crazy.
almost sold as many units as the Wii U did.
That's crazy, dude. I'm someone who I have a Wii U, and I don't really get the whole debate about it's about like what's what's better, the Wii U or whatever else you're talking about. It's like the Wii U is like better than the Wii in like almost every way, and I don't get why it's the most like unsold console because like it's either it's a handheld or it's a console, and that's crazy, dude. The Switch 2 is nearly outselling the Wii U in the first 4 months. Only a few million units shy. That's crazy.
Like that is just crazy. And I think the Wii U sold 100 million games total, and we're at 20 million games. So we got quite a bit of catching up to do on the Switch 2 games. But still, I mean, this is a pretty big difference. And the fact that the Wii U had like 4 or 5 years to cook, and the Switch 2 hasn't even been out for 6 months, like that's just, I'm gonna say it over and over again. It's just wild. Nintendo usually plays pretty conservative with their forecasts. Like if they think 5 million units are good, then the chances are they're going to hit that. So the fact that they raised their expectations this year says actually quite a lot. They suspect it's going to be 19 million units from 15 million. Like that's a big jump. So let's do some comparisons here, and I'll give you some context. The original Switch took roughly 7 months to hit that same 10 million plus milestone. Now, to be fair to Nintendo, they did not think that the Switch was going to be as popular as it was. I think they got burnt from the Wii U. The fact that the Wii U sold so horribly and, was a huge loss for the company. They didn't actually produce that many Switch 1s because they didn't know how well the console was going to sell. They thought maybe this was a dead market. Maybe they were going to give up. So they didn't produce as many, not nearly as many as the Switch 2. And I think the Switch 2 sold so well because of the amount of Switch 2s you can go buy. Like right now you can go to a store and most likely you can find a Switch 2 on the shelf if you just walk in, which for most video game consoles in the first year even, it's pretty difficult to do, especially when the PS5 and the Xbox came out. There was a huge shortage, which is why it's also pacing ahead of the PS5's early.
Yeah, like I don't really get why there's shortages on consoles. Like if this is a highly anticipated console that is dropping, you should make enough units so that there's no like waiting on people. Some people will be like, all right, I want to go buy this console now, and if it's not there, I'm just not gonna get it. I was even considering this when I bought my Switch 2. I got it from Target. I didn't do no pre-order, no nothing. People were like, oh, I didn't get a pre-order in. I'm not gonna like get a Switch 2 in time. It's like, dude, I woke up at 6:30 in the morning, drove my ass to Target, waited in line for like an hour and a half until they opened, and then I just went in there and bought it, dude. It's not like it's not that hard to produce enough for the demand. I get it, like you don't know if the console's gonna sell well or it's gonna do bad, and then you wasted a bunch of money making these consoles. But it's a new console. You're gonna at least sell like a good amount within the first few days. It's sad.
launch period, and again, the PS5 and the Xbox both had major hardware shortages with all the chips and the random crap, but the Switch 2 is just ready to go. But going back to the Switch 1 for a second, the fact that it took them 6 million, or the fact that it took them 7 months to hit the same 10 million, just shows you how many people were so ready for a Switch 2. At this rate, maybe not, I'm sure it'll slow down, but at this rate, the Switch 2 might be Nintendo's fastest selling console ever. Or I guess I should say the most selling console ever if this momentum keeps up. You can just kind of feel how much pent-up demand there was after the original Switch's 8-year run. So what's fueling the success? What is it? Because we all...
I know that this is just the Nintendo Switch 2 B-roll that he's showing, but like I don't like seeing the same B-roll over and over again. Like you know how many times I've seen this Nintendo Switch 2 showing HDR versus LCD and like, not LCD, HDR versus like SDR or whatever they do.
Also have to remember, like, there's no major 3D Mario release. I mean, I guess there technically was if you consider Donkey Kong to be there. And Mario Kart World kind of counts, but that was more of a... Mario Kart has always been a game that just kind of slowly gets sales. And of course, the new Pokemon game and the new Hyrule Warriors game don't count for this meeting, so I'm not technically counting that. But a bunch of third-party ports...
I think he should count the Pokemon in a later video because... Pokemon ZA, like, I pre-ordered it like months ago and I got it in the mail on launch day, and dude, it's pretty fun. Like, I've heard mixed reviews about it, but after you get through the whole tutorial part of the game, I feel like you really get into the like juicy good parts of it, you know. And it's also harder. Like ZA is actually like the like battling mechanics are a lot harder. You need to be thinking about a lot more things, like changing Pokemon on the fly if one of you's about to die. I think that should be included in a later video by him.
Came out as well. So yeah, I think the launch lineup is really good, and Nintendo is doing very well at keeping up games releasing with Nintendo Switch 2 editions and of course first party games. There's a lot of people saying that there's no Switch 2 games that are released. Well, also, come on, the console's only been out for 4 months and we already have a huge list of games releasing. I mean, this year alone we got Metroid Prime 4 still, Hyrule Warriors, Kirby Air Riders, 3 very big games just this year, and already next year we know that we're getting, Tomodachi Life, that new Yoshi game, more Switch 2 editions like with Super Mario Wonder. There are just so many things that Nintendo is doing, and they are releasing more games than any other game publisher or big, the big three, the PlayStation and Xbox. Nintendo is continuously pumping out games, which Sony and Xbox just don't do. So no wonder Nintendo is doing so well. Yeah, but I also think that Nintendo bundling in their
That's the thing about having a Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever over Xbox. Like Switches do not go for like these big performance things. Like now they're a bit more into the performance, but before they didn't do a whole lot of like big performance things. But they just have those exclusive, those games that you have to play, and that's why they sell so many units. Like now, like me on a PC, I can play Marvel's Spider-Man on a PS5 controller, and I don't even have to have a PlayStation, and it looks better. All the graphics pushed to the max, so it's like there's not a lot of reasons to buy like an Xbox or a PlayStation anymore.
Popular games is also why the console is selling so well. Like, there's only 2 games that have been in bundles, like Mario Kart World. That was obviously a big one. And Pokemon Legends ZA, that's another big one. And of course, you're actually saving a bit of money on the game, especially Mario Kart World. You save like $30 on that game or something like that if you buy the bundle.
I hate people who are like hating on the new Mario Kart World prices. It's like, dude, like the bundle is not going to be out for much longer. Just get the bundle, get Mario Kart World for $50 instead of $80. Like you're getting it for $10 less than a regular Nintendo Switch game. $10 less than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like people are just D1 haters online, dude. Especially Reddit, bro.
Which is why I would recommend everyone to buy the bundle. It's way better getting a $50 game than an $80 game, especially for what Mario Kart World is offering right now. So yeah, of course, the games are fueling the success. All that being said, the games are what is fueling the success. The I think Phil Spencer, the guy from Xbox, the main guy looks over the Xbox, he's like, games don't fuel success or something like that. He said that the games aren't as important, that games won't sell consoles. Clearly, he's wrong. I'm not sure why he said that. I don't even remember where he said that, but I know that he said that at some point. He's wrong, obviously. So what does this mean for the future? What does this mean? First of all, we have to remember that the Switch 2 sold this without the Christmas hype. Like, just take that in. For every single console, always the holiday season is the best season out of them all. It's the best quarter. The last 3 months of the year go absolutely insane with, Black Friday sales. Then, of course, you got Boxing Day, and then just everyone buying their kids stuff for Christmas or, other people stuff for Christmas.
Yeah, like, any of y'all actually like shop on like Black Friday? I feel like it used to be so much bigger in the 2010s. Like, I barely see anybody like hunting around for stuff on like Black Friday sales. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's like all like just like online shopping now. It's kind of crazy.
So the fact that we're getting this many sales without a holiday season is very impressive, and I also think that that's why Nintendo put up their projected unit sales to 19 million. It just makes sense. So this is going to be good. We haven't even got a Christmas yet, and the sales are this good, and the holiday sales are just going to make it even better, especially with this new hyped up Kirby game that's releasing. You got another Zelda game in there with Hyrule Warriors. People who already...
Hot take here. I've never been into the Kirby games. Like, I'm just not that kind of cat. Like I'll play Kirby and Smash Bros, but I've never been a Kirby kind of user. I've never been into those games. I play Switch games for Nintendo Switch Sports, Mario Kart, Pokemon. I don't know who still plays Fortnite on Switch in 2025, but I don't know.
Have a Switch 2 are going to get games for Christmas. People are going to get Switch 2s for Christmas, alongside with some other games. And yeah, so a holiday season's coming up. It's going to get a little slower in January, February, and March, I'm sure. But it seems that Nintendo is going to still be releasing games in that time period, from what we know so far. I mean, we already have Mario Tennis for February, and the Switch 2 edition of Animal Crossing in January. So Nintendo is already saying, hey, we got you.
I don't know. For those of you who had a Switch or a Switch OLED or even a Switch Lite before you bought your Switch 2, like, I want to know if you guys felt the same, like, I don't know, like excitedness when you opened it, because like for me, after getting a Nintendo Switch back in like 2018, and then getting a Switch OLED for my like 15th birthday, and then now getting a Switch 2, like that, like I still get the same unboxing experience. I feel like I just don't get the same like brand new console like this. That's just there, like with my Xbox. Like that's like I felt that because it's like it's the next generation of Xbox consoles. But for the Switch 2, I'm just like, all right, well, I have some good upgrades, but I'm still playing my same games besides Mario Kart and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Covered for those who are getting Switch 2s for Christmas. Now, the stock coming up on the Christmas season might be a little bit lower because people are buying them. Probably around mid-November or whenever Black Friday is. It's gonna be a little bit intense, but I do think that they are going to hit the 19 million units by March, which is what they expect to do. So I guess my big concern now is like, okay, the sales are massive now, but can Nintendo keep up after the early adopters? Can they keep doing this? I think they can, and they've also said that the Switch 1 is still selling good enough that they're just continuing to make Switch 1s as well. They're saying we're gonna sell Switch 1s until people stop buying them. So they're just gonna keep getting sales from Switch 1 and Switch 2. At this point, I don't know why you would get a Switch 1, especially after they increase the price, at least here in Canada. And I also have trust that Nintendo will continue to give us games on a monthly basis. They've always been good with games.
Dude, this would make so many more Switch 2 units sold if they sold a new Animal Crossing game that's exclusively on the Switch too. Like you can't play it anywhere else. Kind of like the Cyberpunk, whatever. Like you just like you need to sell more units so you can just like a new Animal Crossing game would kind of blow it out of the park. So many people love Animal Crossing. Like some people that I know that they don't play video games that often, and they're still and they still play Animal Crossing. Like it's very interesting.
Giving us monthly games, sometimes even twice a month if you include Nintendo Switch 2 editions. Like, I just don't see a future that Nintendo just stops releasing games once a month. At least I hope. Hope I can't see that. There are some odd months here and there. Like in September this year, there wasn't like really anything that I can think of that was super good. Maybe a Switch 2 edition in there somewhere, but yeah, that was kind of odd.
And I didn't even know that Animal Crossing New Horizons got a Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Maybe I'd have to actually buy this upgrade pack. I wonder how much that costs. Probably like $30, same as the Zelda.
But they just kind of, missed September.
Wait, available January. Hang on a sec. Oh, damn. All right, January.
Maybe a Switch 2 edition in there somewhere, but yeah, that was kind of odd that they just kind of, missed September. Maybe they considered Hollow Knight to be the big September game, but still. Anyways, whatever. That doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure that they'll keep up with it. I'm not concerned at this point, but I can see the concern, especially looking at, what PlayStation's doing. I think the only people who should be concerned are maybe the Switch 1 users. We're clearly getting less and less games for Switch 1. There were games that Nintendo promised for Switch 1 users many years ago, like Metroid Prime 4. I truly believe that they wouldn't have put Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch 1 if they hadn't announced that it was coming to the Switch 1 like 8 years ago or something silly. Same with Pokemon as well.
Hotel.
And we do know that there are going to be some Switch 1s in the future, but right now I think we only have 2 more after Metroid, which is Tomodachi Life and the new Rhythm Heaven game, but those really aren't very technical to the point where they couldn't run on the Switch, so those make sense. And if people are still buying the Switch, yeah, you can throw them a couple pieces of bread, you know what I mean? Inside this review, or inside of this, inside this whole fiscal year released thing, they also told us other ways that they're keeping Nintendo fans engaged with apps and movies, and I'll talk about that in a future video. But yeah, I just find it really crazy that Nintendo sold over 10 million units. That's impressive. So good job, Nintendo.
That was a good video. I like that. Let me just make my face bigger here. Okay, so that was the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, Nintendo Switch 2 selling 10 million units in the first 4 months. That's pretty crazy. I wish I had an outro, but I don't have one yet, so you're just gonna have to deal with me just cutting it here. So, see you guys in the next one.